Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. So I'm going to comment on the presidential election in the Republic of Ireland, which has just been. So I'm not a journalist, can't announce the news. This is not hot off the press. Anyway, Michael D Higgins was re-elected. So Higgins was elected first time 7 years ago. It's a 7-year term. And first time he pledged that if elected, he would serve only one term. However, he broke that pledge. Obviously, it wasn't legally binding. There's a maximum of 2 terms under our 1937 Constitution. So Michael D Higgins, he campaigned in his own way. There seem to be no disasters under him. It's largely a ceremonial presidency. The Taoiseach, that's the equivalent of the Prime Minister, he or she is the one who actually manages government business. I say she, but it's never been a she. So far, it's only been a he, although we have had 2 women as president. Higgins is 76 years old, got 7 more years to go. There were only 6 candidates there, and you can be nominated. Well, a sitting president can nominate himself to stand again. Otherwise, it's a number of county councils or members of the Oireachtas. The Oireachtas is a bicameral legislature consisting of the Seanad or Senate, and then Dáil Éireann, which is directly elected by constituencies, multi-member constituencies. Anyway, so yeah, the 6 candidates, only 2 of them were politicians as such. Obviously, President Higgins, who'd previously been a TD, as in he'd been in the lower house of our parliament, Dáil Éireann, and that woman, my goodness, Leah Naria, or whatever, if I pronounce her name correctly. She's from West Cork, from the Gaeltacht, as in the Irish-speaking area, so a native speaker of the Irish language. She's an MEP, member of the European Parliament for the southern constituency of Ireland. So 2 of those 6 candidates were women, one of whom I just mentioned. It's notable how many of them were entrepreneurs. 3 business executives, guys who've been on the Dragon's Den. There was Sean Gallagher, who stood last time. So it was clear from pretty much from the start that President Higgins was going to win. It was a racing certainty. And I suppose that's why he pursued a low-risk strategy. So long as he doesn't really do anything stupid, he'll be re-elected. So play it safe. And that's why he didn't turn up to the presidential debate. Don't risk it. Neither, indeed, did Sean Gallagher, who was the front-runner last time. But it all came to grief. It ballsed up when Martin McGuinness skewered him in the debate. I thought it was quite sick that McGuinness was able to do this, about a €5,000 donation that Gallagher had accepted from someone who had a conviction for fuel smuggling. There was no law against accepting that donation, and Gallagher hadn't accepted it for himself personally for his political party when he was in Fianna Fáil. And so I thought it was way too harsh, considering that McGuinness had done things which were a teensy bit worse than that. Anyhow, so once bitten, twice shy. But it didn't appear to hurt Higgins ducking the challenge. Exit polls showed him winning 58% of the vote. In fact, it was 56% in the end. So we have a system which we copied from the French, which is that if no candidates gets over 50% in the first round, sorry, we don't do. I mean, sorry, we've got the preferences, not the French. I think the Russian system. We have multiple preferences. Put a 1 beside your first choice candidate, a 2 beside your second choice candidate, a 3 beside your third choice candidate, and so forth. So of the 6 candidates, if nobody got over 50% the first round, as it were, then we eliminate the bottom-ranked candidate and redistribute those preferences and so on. But you don't have to give more than 1 preference. You don't have to exhaust all 6, but I won't go into it. Anyway, President Higgins got over 50% of the first preference votes, so that was that. What deeply impressed me is the decorum with which all the candidates conducted themselves. There were no jibes, there were no, how to put it, really underhand tactics. It was a very clean fight in that sense. It struck me they were all in politics for the right reasons. They were all dignified, articulate, intelligent, without being show-offs about it. They were actuated by a sense of public service, and it was not just because they were besotted with the sound of their own voices. They all seemed to be well-adjusted, reasonable people without personality disorders. I thought, my goodness, America should take a leaf out of our book. None of these people would be a disgrace if they became president. Although, disappointingly, there was no standout candidate for me. Nobody really inspired me to think, wow, he or she is presidential. I'm pleased there was no machismo, tub-thumping, or whatever, trying to threaten people like you would see in certain other countries. So they support each other's positions quite a lot. There was quite a lot of consensus between them. And the chap who was the runner-up this time, Peter Casey, a candidate from Derry, he came across as quite reasonable. So he's put down his marker, and he'll have a fairly good chance next time because he's got name recognition now. Never been in politics before. He'd lived in Australia, the United States, elsewhere. I don't think he's a citizen of those countries because this was an issue for someone else. Dana last time being a dual citizen. Oh, you became a United States citizen. You're not fully committed to the Republic of Ireland. Didn't disbar her from standing, but was a mild disadvantage. Notably, Mr. Casey, he if he's a resident of the Republic of Ireland, he would be allowed to vote, and I think he is. But if you're a resident of Northern Ireland, not the Republic of Ireland, you're not permitted to vote. Like McGuinness was in this anomalous position of being permitted to seek election, but not to vote for himself, since he wasn't resident in the Republic of Ireland. Actually, I think we have that right. No votes for immigrants. If you don't live in the state, you don't pay tax to the state, you're not allowed to vote. I know with the internet you can be fairly aware of what's going, but it doesn't actually impact you. And people running, say, a quarter Irish might never have been to Ireland, would otherwise be permitted to vote because they're citizens through where one of their grandparents was born. And that would be a preposterous situation. People ill-informed casting ballots in an election which doesn't affect them in the least. So that was that. What a splendid exercise in democracy. Not the result I was hoping for. That chap Duffy, I would have wanted him to win, and he came bottom of the poll, 2%. So not a dreadful result. Well, Michael D Higgins was a Labour politician. It seems to be the very antithesis of Trump, but has managed to be courteous about him whilst he was in office. Is that pusillanimous of Higgins? Perhaps. Perhaps he should really sock it to Trump.